Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5. And that's right, folks. We're back talking the fourth, fourth kind of 5-part retrospective on the Blinky 500 Mr. J series. Sincerely, Mr. J. And you're probably wondering, why are we doing this? Well, I'm gonna remind you why. So Tiki and I, very in depth, we covered Joker Blog series. By Scott McClure, basically one of the great fan film series made about the Heath Ledger interpretation of the character, basically positing what would have happened had Heath Ledger stuck around, and what would have happened between essentially what would happen after the Dark Knight, which retroactively is what happens between the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises. Problem is that show did not have an ending after the creators of said show went bye-bye. They just disappeared plumb out of nowhere, and have just been they've gone to Belize for all we know. I have no idea. Thankfully, though,
Just like the guy who played the bad guy in the original Good Burger.
Sure.
Callback. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Anyway. Yes, so of course, I always figured it was a long shot that we'd get an ending to the Joker blogs. Thankfully, Plan B was always that the essentially the rival to the Joker blog series was our dear friend Chris.R. Notarelli in his series. That's more of it was very incidentally became a series of fan films. That was a fan series. This is basically started as one fan film, which then kind of got sequels because the fans wanted it so much. And unlike the Joker blogs, a lot more communication between the fan base on this one, and so this is the essentially the start off as as a oneer, and then kind of got a sequel and another one, and here's the fourth one.
All right, that's right. So so Dragon, we've been kind of like my opinions of this. Generally, I've really liked everything that we've seen, and every basically like from the first three that we got, the first two episodes were really good showcases of the individual performances. Third episode, really cool, almost kind of like MTV, like late 90s music video aesthetic and editing choices leading up to a good cliffhanger. And Dragon, I think it's safe to say that with this installment, this is the closest that we've come to actually capturing the Nolan vibes, because I gotta tell you, specifically the editing and the dialogue just feels so on point with the Nolan Dark Knight movies. And just as far as the Chris R. Notarelli performance of the Joker, Dragon, this is like, it's almost like night and day from episode one. Like this, for the first time, like episode 2, I was like, okay, it almost kind of feels like he's doing his own thing with it, and it's not necessarily a Heath Ledger impression. Dragon, this for the first time really feels like he's stepped into Heath Ledger. Like, there's one moment in particular, it has to do with Maroni. I'll tease that. With his performance, that it was just like, yes, that's it. That's exactly what Heath would do. That's perfect. So really, really excited to break this down, and of course we've got a lot of guest characters too to break down as well, and that's always fun. I always think it's a fun thought exercise to basically be like, what would other villains be like within the Dark Knight universe? So we've got a lot to cover here, Dragon. But we also have, I'm assuming, kind of some interesting backstory here, because this is well, Dragon, why don't you just go ahead and take the leads on the backstory here? Because there's one element to this that I was a little confused by, and I still don't know.
Yeah, so again, this is the kind of essentially the crescendo of the Mr. J fan film series, which again, personally, I love it editorially. I love the action. I think it's a taste of what a lot of people wanted to happen in the proposed third Nolan Batman film. Like, a lot of people were pausing and speculating, well, what would have happened? Well, if we got the other rogues, it would have essentially been like this. So, yeah, it paid off a lot of things. As far as the background goes, Yeah. Again, this was the height of the fan demand. Like each installment was getting more and more buzz because again, this was like when the first one came out, it was very much during the like the post Dark Knight era, which there was a lot of Heath Ledger Joker buzz. Obviously, people being wowed by the performance, which gave us all the subsequent installments. And basically, of course, notoriety these days, very strictly, it's a you fund it, I'll film it, like put it on a T-shirt kind of mentality there. Uh, back then it was very much like this is very early in the formation of Blinky 500, really kind of the groundswell of things. And this is kind of like this was like the first big boon in viewership for him in terms of as far as the fan films go versus like the original stuff he did like Methodic and everything. So I think the biggest thing he probably did up to this point, I might be getting my years wrong here, was the Freddy Krueger fan
That
films that
sounds
he did.
about right. That was definitely a big early benchmark for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so of course, I mean, this is essentially how I found him because I would be constantly looking for Batman fan films, and that's how I ended up finding, uncovering, the Mr. J stuff that he did, and vice versa, Joker vlogs and everything. So again, they were kind of springing up from that post Dark Knight era. Anyway, so yeah, so essentially, after Well Done, Mr. J came out, the third installment, the fan demand was like, it was so huge, like it's so overwhelming. It's like, well, we kind of painted ourselves into a corner. I mean, I don't know if this is exactly the way it went down, but well, we've kind of painted ourselves into a corner here. We really, everyone is like going crazy, begging us to know what happens next. So I think we should probably give it to him. It's probably the conversation he's having with Kim Santiago there. Uh, so that was like 11 months after 11 months passing since Well Done, Mr. J. In terms of like, okay, well, let's get into arranging things and just in terms of the preparation. And at this point, Blinky 500's doing a whole bunch of other fan films and stuff. So there's production details and everything. Also, in the filming of this one, and again, this is like during like this thing comes out October 2010, just to show you how far back it was.
So this was like way before. So Anne Hathaway hadn't even been cast as Catwoman at this point, right?
I mean, no one's working on Inception. Inception's made at this point, so I'm going to say probably not.
Okay, yeah, because that's the one thing I was kind of wondering with the timeline with Catwoman popping up, which we'll get to, obviously.
No, I don't know if I forget when Catwoman and Bane were announced in The Dark Knight Rises. I don't think it was just given that I don't think we really knew anything about Rises until 2011. So I think this is
Yeah, that
probably
sounds about right to me. Yeah.
I'm approximating that time correctly there because I forget if like by the end of 2011 we had the famous teaser for Dark Knight Rises or not. The beginnings of the Dishi Basara thing.
Of course.
Anyway, yeah. So I mean, roughly, it was I guess in approximating where they would go next. It was this. Let's go very long Halloween in premise. Like the Dark Knight, which is very steeped in the long Halloween, which is okay. So the freaks are going to basically take over the criminal underworld, and how they do that. So, in terms of shooting this, there was a practical and cosmetic change made to the Joker, and this is kind of feeds into the 11-month thing where Notarelli grew out his hair for the role this time versus wearing the wig like he did in the other three.
Oh, nice. That might have something to do. I think vocally he definitely has a bit more inflection with Heath, but that might have something to do with why he looks naturalistically a bit more in line with the movie.
Honestly, I speculate that it was. I speculate it was done to. I think they were pulling out all the stops on this one, thinking again.
Sure,
They keep thinking each prior installment was going to be the last installment. So still, I mean, I don't know how. I can't say.
Like
how
I said,
accurate
just as far as like the action and the editing, it definitely is the most Nolan-esque out of all these for sure.
Well, that's what I mean. It feels like in general, this is like each installment they thought was going to be the last one. So, I mean, this one literally is like, okay, God, we keep kind of ending it, and it's like, well, let's just pull out all the stops and go full Nolan with it. And in doing so, there's a lot of Heath Ledger
You
references.
never go full Nolan, Chris.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, but seriously,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, but seriously though, it's the whole thing of like, hey, we're it's like let's put all the Heath Ledger nods into this one. Let's do like use a lot of Nolan's tricks. Let's use the score. Let's do all of this. So anyway, you'll notice the two major changes with the Joker here. He's got we have like the actual long hair, and also in the costuming, he's not wearing the. It's interesting if you look at the poster here. He's wearing the the button up shirt. However, the button up dress shirt. However, he is not wearing that in the actual film itself because I think, as I probably realized here, is like the way the light kind of captures it during the action sequences and everything. It's just one, it'd be a little cumbersome, and then all the the stunt work, but more so for some reason it photographed kind of fake looking. Like the shirt just did
Oh, I
not
can see
photograph
that.
well
Yeah, yeah.
during the action versus like when he's stationary,
Kind
like
of like
like
giving
in
like a spirit Halloween vibe.
that's the thing, because you look at the other one. That one was were literally an equivalent to a Spirit Halloween
Exactly,
place,
exactly.
and it
Right.
looks good. But that's he's not really moving around doing stuff. He's just kind of like striking some cool Alex Ross looking poses.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. So anyway, let's see. I'm sorry, and again, a lot of blending and kind of a lot of the other Batman media kind of worked in the ring. Anyway, so about the release though, so to get into that, we have some breaking stuff coming from Notarelli too. I'm going to try and work that in there. But in the
Ooh.
meantime, let me try about the release here. So
Okay.
with the release, Notarelli has a number of fan films that unfortunately studios had had kind of flagged and stuff, so we had to repost it.
Oh.
So I think it was twofold in that four always had issues for a number of reasons. One, if memory serves, I think it was, I don't know if it was a length thing. I think it was because they used the Hans Zimmer music. That's what I think it
Yeah, it does
was.
use the Zimmer score. Yeah.
I primarily think it was because they used it for an extended period of time and the editing of everything.
That'll do it. That'll do it, man.
I believe
Music
that's
is
the
one of the trickiest things with copyright for sure.
at the time though, because this was so far back, there is a chance it was. I meant to look at the times on this, but runtime wise, it might have been in that period of YouTube where if you exceeded a certain amount of time, you would have. It originally was on Vimeo. Originally, when they uploaded it,
Uh-huh.
that's what the link went to. But then, in the years later, once Norley's kind of gotten a lot of ducks, he basically salvaged a lot of the lost Blinky 500 media, especially when Vimeo kind of went down the tubes. It got repurposed there. So I don't know if it was purely copyright or if it was copyright mixed with a little bit of runtime, and just that's why it was uploaded now as kind of this big thing of like, okay, all four of the original Mr. J films are there, and then we have essentially we revisited one last time, and then a Christmas card, so technically two more times, but essentially one more time with the fan. I'm gonna check real quick. See, no, really, I posed him some questions, and I've now suddenly gotten responses. So let me take a quick moment here. Look at
Oh,
these up.
really? Is in like right now?
Yes, right now.
Oh my
Yes,
god, hot off the presses.
I
Okay.
told you it was breaking. Give me a
All
moment
right.
here as I read. Okay, so I asked, was the cliffhanger on "Well done, Mr. J" intended to stoke the fires, to see if the fans would clamor for a part four, to see how intentional it was? And again, it was reiterated here, like, no, we didn't plan to make more. Then we got bored,
Uh-huh. Oh my god.
and people kept asking, so we came. So essentially, that's it was like it was planned to be a tease. It wasn't like planned to be like, okay,
Sure,
let's.
sure. Yeah.
Basically I was asking like, do you think it was a thing where we're going to like, okay, we're testing the waters if we want to do a four, see if the fans want it. It was just pure like, no, we just wanted, that was the ending. But then people just went crazy. It's like, well, we got nothing better to do. Let's just do it.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. So next, real quick, let me see if okay, the Maroni compound location. So the guy who plays Sal Maroni, it sounds like, is the homeowner of that location in Act Three.
Okay.
So that's the thing. So that's why, he's in the fan film, and that's basically how they landed that sweet Maroni kind of compound location. So that's the guy. The guy who owns that house is in the bandages.
Nice, nice.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to save one of these for later, and let's see. Beyond that, I got. Okay, it's good. Sorry, so I'm just reading through this right now.
You're
We're
good,
going to
you're
get
good.
into it. Okay. Okay, you know what? I can factor. I can work these last three into the conversation. We're good. Let's get into
All
it.
right, let's get started. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So we start things off with Max Shrek, right?
Yes, I want to talk about Max Shrek real quick here. So I'm sorry, right off the bat though. Again, as we've been hyping, a very Nolan-esque kind of caper heist vibe in the editing and the music and everything going right from the top, which is already tonally. This thing feels very well executed, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. The like I said, the editing, the music, obviously. Also, like I said, I feel like the release that he's really nailed the Nolan kind of like sardonic, like sarcastic one-liners. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, yeah. That thing, everyone's Nolan does have a
Nolan
wit
has
for
a
this.
sense of humor, man. He has a distinct sense of humor. It's just a more dry sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so again, I like that very much. It feels like okay, we're in the midst of something. We're just kind of thrown into it. And so Max Shrek himself, though, the actor who plays Max Shrek here is a guy who's been in a couple of Notarelli's things in the early years. Here, his name is Thomas Daniel. I want to note him. I don't really have notes on the majority of the cast here, but I really want to highlight him because one, I can't pinpoint why because I just really love how Max Shrek, the Nolanized version of Max Shrek, turned out here. I just really like it.
Yeah, no, I think it turned out really well. It definitely like it calls to mind walk in without just being a walk in impression.
Because that's the thing, like it's not Walken, but there's something unique here about him. This feels like a character actor playing a really good role. Like this
Sure,
feels like it's
totally.
very little Ward
Which is
Meacham-y, you
exactly
know.
what it would be if Max Shrek wasn't a Nolan movie.
It's like something vaguely Ward Meacham-y about him, you know. It's just kind of hard.
Oh my god, yes. Oh Jesus Christ. And you know me, Dragon, I am the internet's biggest Ward Meacham fan.
But yeah, so here's the main thing I know this guy from. I would never have known it until I looked it up. Is that he was familiar, but I couldn't place the face for very good reason. He was Jigsaw in the first Punisher fan film that really did
Oh,
Punisher
well there
79.
you go, yeah.
Of course, he had a very messed up looking face, which is but that's the thing. I know
Oh
that
my
guy's.
god, what's wrong with your face?
Apparently, he's been with them since before Methodic, which is not really his big movie. So anyway, yeah, so Max Shrek, he's in a building here, and I assume they use kind of the tricks that they kind of learned for like well demonstrated with using the hotel and everything. So basically just kind of man walking in suits a lot easier to get away with than people dressed in cosplay.
Oh.
So anyway, so Max Shrek, he's walking to the elevator here, presumably per this really well orchestrated plan. Oswald Cobblepot seems to be the connect. My headcanon is that the Penguin provided information on the criminal underworld to execute these on where people would be at certain times, and maybe like he missed that meeting intentionally with Shrek, so he would know like
Yeah, I
he's going
can
to be at
see
work the
that.
next morning. So yeah, so he's
Cobblepot just like ironically enough, like way before D'Onofrio Kingpin, definitely
Mhm.
giving some D'Onofrio Kingpin energy, right?
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
It's almost
So
like the Marvel Netflix is like, hey, we've got this super obscure fan film that we want to draw inspiration from.
So Shrek's in the building. He's on the elevator, and we build up. We build up Ivy with the legs and everything. Now remember,
I love
Ivy
the
played.
tattoos, yeah.
You remember who Ivy's played by?
Oh, you're gonna have to remind me. I'm sorry.
Kim Santiago, the
Right,
co-director.
right, right. Yeah, of course, of course.
She plays Ivy. So both directors get roles in this. Anyway, so so Ivy, we kind of have her walking down the hall with the legs, and this is a good kind of mashup of like she's on a different floor and he's going up the elevator, so that's really cool. Anyway, so actually, I guess what remind me when Ivy enters, do the elevator doors open or are they about to close? Like, did they?
No, I think they open. They just open, and she's like going down.
All right, cool. It's a
Yeah.
different floor, which I really like that. I like the idea it's a different floor. So, good use of the penguin here. Again, not physically there, but he's coordinating everything, which again feels kind of like a penguin-like thing to do. As a guy who's not going to dirty his hands, but we're seeing like him do like these great, again, really good cinematography. He's like polishing the monocle. He's grabbing the umbrella.
Uh-huh.
You know, so he's
I love that they
apologizing.
legitimize the umbrella and the monocle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he needs the sea.
Right.
So anyway, so he apologizes for canceling his meeting last night with Shrek, and he's like, he's a little ticked off by it. Like the actor conveys, like, I'm a little ticked off, but it's okay.
Right, right.
It's like, oh, it's putting on a good business face, like, oh, it's okay, Oswald. We can reschedule. Says, all the same, I wanted to send a little gift your way, a small gift your way. Gift? What do you mean? The kind with long stems and red petals. Enter. Ivy. Oh boy, Ivy. And what a knockout that Kim Santiago is dressed as Poison Ivy. And we built her up. We gave her like an old school movie entrance.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Going down, which of course I'll double entendre, not bad.
All right, then we hard cut to Max Shrek Jr.
Well, Chip Shrek.
Chip Trek. Sorry.
It's
Chip
Chip.
Shrek. God, that's hard. That's a little hard to pronounce. I gotta say, that's a little.
Oh, that's why he didn't have a big role in the movie, Tiki.
Dragon, he is wearing a Burger King crown, which I think is a really good touch.
If memory serves, that is a nod. I want to say that's a direct nod to
The Burger King. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured to the toy thing.
Well, not really. I think I want to say the Batman Returns.
No, actually, the toy thing was McDonald's. I think.
That's what I was getting at. He says they were Happy Meal toys from McDonald's, but the whole toy fiasco where they were horrified to see the film so dark. Like, we can't sell toys with this.
Right.
No, but you remember the whole Christmas party masquerade. I guess it was Masquerade. The whole Christmas party masquerade thing. I believe Chip Shrek's wearing like a silly kind of almost like New Year's.
Oh yeah, right. No, for sure. I know.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Otherwise, it was like it's kind of a more collegey kind of version of that here. Like it's very much like a college dorm or something like kind of like elite sort of like basically the upper crust kind of college thing, trust fund kids as we say here. So. There's a good entrance here where again, like she says, going down, he's coming up.
Yeah, exactly. Really good. Again, very Nolan-esque editing and transitions there.
I love the edit on this. I think this is one of the best Blinky500 edits. I really do. I think that one of Notaro's best editing jobs. I've always kind of held this one. I really do love this fan film of his vast amounts of fan films, and this one's always been a go-to. I think mainly because of the editing.
Sure, I hear you.
Anyway, so he comes up from snorting some cocaine or something, and Scarecrow, a little jump scare with the Scarecrow. Again, I love that this is very consistent.
How the Scarecrow is basically just like, like he's presenting himself as like I'm the drug dealer for the spoon in their mouth kids, and he's just like, oh, okay, I'll go with it.
Yeah, for the trust fund kids. Yeah, so that's the thing. I love that Nolan's version of Scarecrow is essentially a drug dealer, which we set up in The Dark Knight. It's kind of like this guy is like an evil. He's a very it's under the guise of a drug dealer, and just people are like, well, why the mask? Well, it's for anonymity's sake. It's a signature.
Exactly.
So, admittedly, though, I think this is just for the reposting with the whole thing as like as like the movie in 4 parts, in 4 chapters thing. The audio is a little off. I
was wondering about. You know what? Honestly, I was kind of wondering if that was intentional. I don't think it is.
Well, I think what happened was, this was years back when I first watched this. I want to say the audio was better then, probably because it was like there's probably an effect on Scarecrow, but I feel
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I want to say in the transfer something might have gone wrong, but again, I can't really find the original version now, so I can't really tell you by comparison's sake what happened there. But I think that's what happened. I think there's like an effect on Scarecrow. It sounded a lot better than it does here, but I think it just kind of hurt on the transfer of the whole.
Right. Anyway, that's kind of what I assumed. Yeah.
So I speculated at least.
Anyway,
so he gives him I believe he gives him like an inhaler, essentially like an inhaler delivery.
He does, which is very ominous, honestly.
I love that idea, by the way. I love the idea. It's like the next level drug being like the inhaler thing.
Sure.
Anyway, so he gives him this. This is going to blow your mind, and boy, does it! And it always calls to mind. I say one of the great. I use this. I remember I used this analogy when I was hyping up the disappointing realization for the Joker blog subtly over the years.
Yes.
I like coining the line from the Scarecrow from The Dark Knight. I said it would take you places. I never said there'd be places you wanted to go. So I kind of paraphrase that for the Joker blog's coverage, but I love that it's kind of tantamount to what we have here. It'll blow your mind. He's not lying.
Sure.
He's not false advertising, that Scarecrow.
And again, Dragon, with the Scarecrow, I want to re-emphasize, because I did obviously, like with this video being posted as like a compilation, I did watch the second part again, or the third part, I'm sorry, and I want to re-emphasize, I love this guy's delivery of that last Scarecrow line of like, oh, this is too good.
Yeah,
like it's so Cillian Murphy-esque, Dragon. It's perfect.
It'd be hilarious though if we took both Cillian Murphy's pattern actors and we just had them team up, and we found other Cillian Murphy actors, like a league of
oh my god, a league of Cillian Murphys. Oh my god,
imagine that. So that's how you do the multiverse right there. It's not just like getting the same guy, like doing the dual role thing. It's like you get a bunch of actors who look enough like him and sound enough like the same guy.
It's basically like the whole Scott Pilgrim, like Lucas Lee stunt doubles thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, God.
There you go. Get all the Evans in there. Anyway, but yeah, seriously,
I still think we need a really meta Hollywood comedy just about all the Chris's.
We really should.
Like basically like a 2020s This Is the End with all the Chris's.
It would really. I would very much co-sign that idea. I gotta be honest. It's been like we've mentioned it in other. It's not just like a thing in our circle. Everyone's mentioned.
No, it's not a thing in our circles. It's a mainstream thing.
All the Hollywood Chris's. I mean, literally, look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All the Chris's are there.
Exactly.
Actually, I forget if Hemsworth is there or not, but I think he is. In like the little cardboard standy things. Anyway, fun. I gotta admit, like when you have Scarecrow walking down the hallway,
if they do I'm sorry, really quick with the Chris thing. I'm sorry. You know that Chris Pine would probably be the bad guy because he's like the one guy who hasn't done the Marvel movie, and he'd probably be cocky about it. Like, well, guys, I never resorted myself to Marvel.
He was Spider-Man though.
right.
So I don't know if he can use that. I'm sorry, which of us was Spider-Man? Well, I was Captain America. and the Human Torch.
Oh my God. Oh, this movie needs to happen. Anyways.
Okay, anyway. So, how was I getting that? All right.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse is like the odd duck in the movie.
Yeah, he would be the drummer who his equivalent would be in This Is Us now.
All right. He'd probably be like the Michael Cera.
Right? That's what I was thinking. Things have been going great for him in the little boys' room, but anyway.
All right. I'm sorry. Let's go.
Okay, so Cillian Murphy, though. Here's the thing. I got a vibe here. With Scarecrow walking down the hallway, it very much feels like Cillian Murphy, like in hotels, like very much like Inception. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. A little bit. I mean, I'm just saying. I forget when Inception came out. I forget if it was like
2010.
Well, I know 2010. I meant month, Tiki. I don't know month.
July.
July. All right. Maybe there's a little intentional Inception nod there. Who knows? A little subtle Inception. Okay. Anyway, so Kim Santiago here. Utterly a knockout, soon to be in the literal sense. We have this name gag here. She's being all sultry and stuff as classic Poison Ivy. Isn't this a really, really good dialogue here? I love the dialogue on Ivy here, where it's just like, my clients call
I feel
me
like
Pam.
it's just comic book enough to feel like Ivy, and yet it's like realistic enough to feel, like Nolan. I feel like it strikes a really good balance between those two.
See, my favorite thing about it is that they did my favorite interpretation of Ivy, which I love the human lady who's obsessed with plants take on Ivy, which we did here.
Sure. I agree. I really don't like the actual like plant hybrid lady thing.
Nothing against I guess the good years from that Harley Quinn show.
I was gonna say like the first 2 seasons of that Harley Quinn show were a good representation of that version of Ivy, but yeah.
Well, not really. I mean, she has plant powers. Steve. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying through the whole thing of that show. I'm saying back in the animated series though, first beginning though, you have human plant lady, you have human poison ivy versus plant lady Ivy.
All right.
Anyway, so point being, we have this nice little dialogue exchange here. She's like going my clients call me Pam, my patients call me Doctor, and then what should I call you? She kisses him. You can call me Poison. We have like the Zimmer score coming in there, and I asked her, Denon. So I love the as he's like basically poisoned and he's going down, and we have this. I always had this headcanon, no really confirmed it for me. Based on how it looks, it seemed like the Nolan-esque take on like the human lady using the plant gimmick. I surmised that she dosed herself with like a toxin. She dosed herself.
That's kind of what I surmised too. Yeah.
And then she took the like she's chewing on like the little antitoxin like pill that's in her little ring. Now, I mean, he confirmed that the ring thing that's absolutely supposed to be like an antitoxin that she's taken. So somehow she dosed herself with a virus or something, or like with like kind of like something plant derivative, I'm sure.
Sure.
So I love that. I love that take, and that was old. I honestly, I admit, the gadget nut that I am, that is yet another reason I think this one might be my favorite of the 5 shorts
And
that he
again, it's a
did.
very Nolanized take on the
Yeah.
Poison Ivy gimmick.
And steeped in Batman animated series, depending on how you want to, say in terms of like in media, very rarely do we ever do the human lady with the plant obsession anymore. We just really don't. We keep making her all planty. You know. Anyway, so this is all great here. Anyway, so she's walking off the elevator. Penguin calls, asking if he's dead, terminal. So I like. There's a chance that he might be worse for him. He might not be dead. He might just be, he's gonna be dying over the course of a few days for all we know. Who knows?
So this little exchange with the Penguin and Ivy and I'm sorry,
Scarecrow.
Yeah, Scarecrow. Sorry. Where she's like terminal, and then it's like, and the sun
Certifiable.
And that is like the best example of like the sardonic Nolan humor that I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, it's like good, good dialogue kind of summarizes what they're going for there. Well, terminal poisoning, certifiable madness. We're hitting all basically these are lines to summarize these characters. Very good.
So that little exchange in particular, I was like, oh, they've got the Nolan style down with this. Like that is like such a little like Nolan beat.
So Penguin's essentially saying he's done his part of the bargain, which suggests that he's been orchestrating things and again providing the criminal underworld information. And now it's up to the clown, that maniac, to do his part.
Cut to
the Maroney compound. We see we see Joker and we have our mobsters playing cards at first here. The idea is like, they're guarding the boss as he's recovering from his skiing accident. And they're playing cards or eating food. We have like a little Joker playing card, which is a nice little nod there. Anyways, one of the guys is this. Can I get into a mini Curb Your Enthusiasm rant?
Oh my God, sure.
Okay. This always bothers me. It's just what people always announcing. I have to use the bathroom.
He's specifically saying he has to do a number 2, which and I know the rant. Basically, it's like, just do your business, dude. We don't all have to know.
But it's always like, I gotta use the bathroom. It's not even like I'll be right back, because I gotta use. Like, I hate when people do that. It's like, really? I don't need to just leave. All right, stop announcing it. It's like Geekvolution with the Kevin Logan show. The whole like, DJ, stop announcing things. In this case, but only if it went that far with it. Thankfully, thank goodness it doesn't. Anyway, so then we have our money shot there. We have Joker and Harley outside. And we're going kind of the full natural born killers here.
Absolutely.
Gun toting. They're in love. Well, as much in love as Harley and Joker can be. And they infiltrate the compound. And as I said, the Joker wardrobe here allows for a lot more movement. I gotta be honest, with the wardrobe change, when I first saw it, I was like, one of these things is not like the other. Like, wait a minute, where's the shirt? Where's the they have like the outfit literally in that last installment. What gives? But when you look at it, it's actually not a bad look. Joker, because he's wearing the jacket, he's got the t-shirt on. It's still getting the
I think it's like a casual Fridays Joker.
Yeah.
Look.
It's so rare. Like, the only time I've really seen like a casual Fridays Joker look like that was like Sean Murphy's A White Knight series, where you see like the Joker wearing like a Batman T-shirt. It was kind of like, look, it was really interesting. So, it's kind of the casual Fridays look, kind of works for him. It works. And again, you look at it compared to the poster here. I mean, you see what I mean with the shirt here?
Sure, yeah.
That's the thing. I can see what Nora was talking about. Like, for some reason, it didn't photograph well here. So it doesn't look great. Anyway, so we have this really great, well choreographed sequence here where Joker and Harley, they're knocking on the door. This is probably some clown. Oh, Nolan with the funnies. So, well, I guess notoriety in this case with the funnies. So Joker bursts in with the assault rifle, and he's just shooting goons left and right, making Daffy Duck sounds, which is perfect. That's right on brand.
It really is.
And I like the logic here where we establish in the Mr. J series of fan films, the Joker does have a plan, but he revels in the chaos in between steps, and that's essentially what we're doing here. He's all about he can get from plan A to plan D easily, but he loves the B and C part of the plan. He loves the journey getting there. So it's just like,
Well,
okay,
the
we're
whole
gonna.
thing about like I'm like a dog chasing cars. I don't know what I'd do if I actually caught one.
Yeah, so
It's like it's all about the game for him. That's the whole thing with Batman, you know?
yeah, that's the thing. It's like he knows what the plan is here, and it's a well thought out plan. But he's just really just like is wanting destruction for a bit here, as he's reveling. I'm just gonna shoot a bunch of goons, and it'll be funny. So Harley, she kills these stragglers with a shotgun. Now here's a bit, very Ledger-esque bit. The sandwich gag.
Oh yeah, for sure. Very reminiscent of him just taking the dwarves in the party.
Yeah, the hors d'oeuvres and then the wine. I love. It always read to me that
You know
I
where
get.
Harvey is. Do you know where he is?
Know where he is? Nope, nope. So he takes like a bite of food. Now here's the thing: it always read to me, and I think it's like a blinking and missing moment in the Dark Knight. It looks like the Joker like takes the wine glass, he spills all of that, doesn't even drink it. But maybe if you,
right.
I forget if you freeze frame, if you actually can actually see him take a really quick drink. But I think it's funny if he just takes it and like splashes it out.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so in that spirit, so this bit was let me see what No really said here. He said. Yeah, it was. He says it was an improvised moment, so it sounds to me this was not in the script. It sounds like this is like he just realized there's a sandwich there. Why don't I take a page from The Dark Knight? Let me just do the bit where he takes a bite of the food.
I mean, makes sense.
Which I mean, it's really clever on the day if he just comes up with it like that. It's pretty cool.
Sure.
Anyway, so Harley, we have work to do. I love the hand signals here a bit, where they're making like the very SEAL Team 6 kind of like hand signals to each other as they're going with the choreography of this sequence, and it shows progress on it. It shows you how disparate they were from the first fan film, where it's like them meeting each other, her very trepidatious, to now they are so in sync right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, he shoots the guy on the can. And then we meet the homeowner, the actual. So we meet Sal Maroni in the bedroom here. He's all bandaged up, recovering, and I wonder how much of that was. I now wonder how much of that was. Did we just fear that we didn't have an actor who looked like Sal Maroni, or is it the fact that okay, we're kind of stuck with the homeowner? I don't know what his acting skills are, and
Oh
I don't know. He
God.
probably
Maybe a little of both.
he,
Maybe
he
I don't
may or
know.
may not look at all like Eric Roberts. So let's
Right.
cover that up. I think I already thought it was just with the acting. I didn't know it was like with the homeowners. So I don't know how much of that's like let's just mask this guy's acting ability as much as we can.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so this is great. So he's recovering after the car accident with Two-Face, which the bandages again help with this. And then we have this great nod to Mask of the Phantasm, which is always one of my favorite bits of this whole thing here, which is like, you never call, you never write. I got worried about my pal Sal, which, of course, a little nod to no one's going to lay a hand on my pal Sal.
Of course, yeah. And
Anyway.
just the whole "you never call, you never write" thing is very reminiscent of the kind of like Joker Heath Ledger humor.
And when he made the call to Andrea Beaumont to listen, Boops, even though you never call and you never write, I still got a soft spot for you.
Sure.
Sort of thing, anyway. Yeah, so I believe, do you want to say anything on this scene?
Well, just build up to the Harley stuff.
Sure, yeah. So he's he's chit chatting with Maroni here, kind of catching up. Says like, and it looks like you're not doing well, as he's like hitting the guy's leg as he's paying his love. I love the enunciation on that one. Like from the looks of things, you're not doing well. I love he's hitting him just to make sure he feels some pain there. So what happened, Sal? This is like
And then Maroni
skiing.
is just almost kind of like, almost half defeated at this point. Just like, what do you want? I got nothing for you, man. What do you want from me?
But he's entertaining, which is kind of what Eric Roberts did in that movie, though. He was entertaining the madness a bit there, which even with Two-Face as well,
Sure.
So, what happened? Skiing accident. Just a skiing accident. Just taking it anyway. So he says that Sal essentially he's there to tie up loose ends. That's the main reason he's there. It's serving the grander part of the plan to make sure the mob's going to be a non-issue, kind of like Long Halloween. And it's also, he survived, but also he kind of sold me out during the trial. Presumably that happened to send Joker to Arkham. In some senses, it's kind of a thank you for what you did. I ended up with Harley Quinn here. In some senses. But so it's kind of like it's a nice kind of way of closing, getting full circle with things, depending on how you want to look at it. Otherwise, I mean, Sal did kind of sell him out there with the whole thing with the clown. Like, I didn't. I'll tell you where he's going to be. So Sal did sell him out in the Dark Knight a bit there.
Sure.
So again, he did. So it's kind of getting a little full circle call out to that as well. Anyway, so he asks for you. He mentions him. I've been in therapy with my doctor here, and she has some thoughts.
Okay, first of all, I love the whole like this is another thing that feels very Heath Ledger-esque. The whole well, doctor knows best. It's almost like he's lecturing Maroni, like doctor knows best, Sal.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Harley basically wants to burst Maroni open like a piñata.
Well, remember I love how this comes about though. This whole like her diagnosis, her expert diagnosis. Like, what do you think, doctor? I think he looks like a piñata.
Oh my god!
He grabs a bat. Grabs a bat. It's like, want to see if there's candy inside?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I? And she grabs and she reassures him, as we've set up in the second of the fan films. With anything you say, Mr. J. Don't worry, I've gotten really good at this. And just again, she beats him like a piñata, literally.
Okay, so the moment I specifically want to highlight here, Dragon, is when Notarelli as the Joker is just laughing like so maniacally that I want to say he accidentally fires off his gun and then he just kind of goes with it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That to me just feels like specifically like a Heath Ledger improv. So, do you know if that was intentional or not? Do you have anything on that moment? Because that was like the most authentic moment in the whole thing for me.
Well, what I can tell you is similar to the sandwich bit earlier. It is kind of a bit of art imitating life there with Heath Ledger. If I understand it, the gun going off when he in the Dark Knight after the truck gets flipped over, Joe gets out of the car. Sorry, out of the cab of the truck. And he's kind of using the machine gun as almost like a crutch to get up.
Right.
It goes off.
Right.
It goes off when he's getting up. That was an accident.
Yeah. And this is exactly what this moment here reminded me of. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, unfortunately, I can't say authoritatively, but it would. I mean, I can ask real quick if you want, but
yeah, it's all good.
That's the thing. I think it was probably like a nod to the other thing, because that's a visual effect. I don't think you can improv that in the moment though. Because I think it's like that was probably that one had to be a pre-planned one. But yeah, it's a nod to the Dark Knight, what Heath Ledger did though. So it's very much in service of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but yeah, so he's laughing like a prospector practically, and the gun goes off, and he's horrifically beaten off camera. All right, so. Anyway, so then we have this moment where Joker and Harley, they're they've kind of reached the end of their arc here, essentially. Where it's like, hey, how'd I do? Really well, and we have some love making on a corpse.
Dragon, I'm sorry. Read the chat. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to. Anyway. Sorry. Yeah, so there's a lot of love. Anyway, love making on a corpse. Of course, that feels very sick and wrong in the right ways for Joker and Harley. Anyway, so then we have our roundabout here, where we have the Mr. Earl sequence, Mr. Earl Rucker Hauer from Batman Begins here, and we have the Riddler. You're wondering what the heck happened to the Riddler. So yeah, so Enigma here.
This is really fun, just because of course everyone was theorizing like maybe Earl was the Riddler.
Not the case. Well, at least in this take, not the case.
You remember what my fan casting for the Riddler was, right?
Well, it wasn't DiCaprio. Who was it?
Michael Emerson.
Oh, right, Emerson. Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been solid.
Of
course, he went on to be the Joker, and he did a great job with it.
Of course.
Anyway, yeah, so we have this great bit here. A lot of people, I think, when this came out, pointed out that, man, this Enigma actor does look a lot like Jim Carrey. Kind of sounds a little like him, too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have this great bit, he's like, who am I? Oh, Mr. It's like, oh, I would have hoped the name Enigma would have a certain gravitas with you, Mr. Earl. always love the way he delivered that gravitas line. Anyway, it's a great little bit here where he's presumably as no really kind of confirmed for me. Yeah, it's definitely the as no really kind of confirmed. It's definitely Nigma, kind of like what we saw in Batman the Animated Series. It's sort of like Nigma getting let go by Wayne Enterprises, presumably by Mr. Earl, and he's got an axe to grind, which I mean is not a hard sell given what we've seen and stuff like Batman Forever with Nigma being let go from Wayne Enterprises, or just the way Mr. Earl like fired Lucius Fox and everything. So it's a thing you can buy. We've kind of established another Batman media, so it was a good call. I felt, it's a nice little final note to end on. Then we have a post-credit scene with Catwoman going after Bruce Wayne. A few movies too early.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a few years too early. Sorry about that. But
I do like how the costume is very reminiscent of Michelle Pfeiffer, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's a little Michelle Pfeiffer. It's more like the Darwin Cook outfit, but yeah, it's the cool leather looking Catwoman outfit. Yeah, anyway.
Well, the leather specifically is the Pfeiffer-esque quality to it. Yeah,
as I'm saying, with the goggles and everything, it's the Darwin Cook suit, but we don't get the Darwin Cook suit without the Michelle Pfeiffer outfit, so it's relative. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so we have this thing where like all that's left is Bruce Wayne, which she wants. It's just like, oh, what? Yeah, paranoid? No, possessive. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Of course, now tell me, Dragon, we have one thing left, and you say it's not the most substantial thing, so how's that going to work?
Well, sorry, there's okay, so there's a little Christmas short that I don't think we're going to cover, that's the non-substantial thing. The thing that's left is sort of like an epilogue, so it's kind of like we check in with him at a different point, but this is the end of the main story. The other thing's pure like an epilogue. It's sort of like, let's revisit it, and what will we tell if we revisit it? So that's pretty much what our finale will be for this. So yeah,
gotcha.
But yeah,
right, so as it stands now, I think this is definitely they've built to the best with that. This is definitely crescendo. It's 10 minutes of sheer good Nolan heist action, good dialogue, good editing. I think Notarelli definitely fits into the role way more than he has in the past. Like I said, I think in the past the strength was kind of like making it his own thing, but here I don't know what happened, but the performance is very much on point. Maybe it's the fact that it's kind of like built to be the most authentic Joker, but yeah, it's very solid.
Yeah, I mean, he blossomed into it. He grew on him, like he grew on us. And I think he grew into the role, and it kind of
sure,
yeah, got better over time. But yeah, this one honestly, and we'll get to the next one. You can make the judgment for yourself. This one's always been every time I go back to the series, this one's always been my favorite of the bunch. I think we get the most done. I think it's got the most style in its corner. Again, I think everyone's comfortably in their roles, and again, it feels very much, even though it wasn't like even though I think when you look at it, I think technically the first film might be the best in terms of content, in terms of storytelling. I still think this one has a little bit of everything going for it. So there's a lot to love for it. So it's a standout for me. But yeah,
it's kind of like an issue of like I feel like the first one does kind of tell a little bit more of a complete story, whereas this just feels very, very well directed and it's kind of firing on all cylinders. But it's kind of like just a standalone like sequence instead of a full story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, polish goes a long way, and it is really interesting. Again, it's by sheer happenstance it works out this way. But again, luckily, there's a consistency in the filmmaking. So you line up these four parts together. It's a really fulfilling story.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, take us out, Dragon. I don't know how to end this thing.
Well, folks, that'll do it until we revisit the Notarelli Well one last time on the Mr. J series.
Have a good night, folks.